Oh, hi everyone. It's Andrew here from CAEexamtips.com, and I got a message. It's from Anna Maria, who has a Romanian looking name. Could you make a quick video on inversions, please? I have my CAE exam on Thursday and I barely know about them. It would be very helpful. Thanks in advance. Well, today's Monday, and if I record the video quickly now and edit it, or don't edit it, then I could put it online and she would have 2 days to learn inversions. That's optimistic. Normally, I would think about something for a few days or weeks and just let it bubble in my head, and then I would make the video. But there's no time. So I found this guy. Where is he? Tim. Look at that. I found a guy called Tim. Sexy Tim. I'm a 30-year-old British English teacher living and working in Barcelona, Spain. It sounds nice. All right, now Tim did this. It's called Prezi, and it's a presentation software that tries to teach you something in a visually interesting way. So I'm just going to go through it and I'm going to let Tim teach you and I'm going to comment on it a bit. So we make that bigger. Let's talk about inversions. First of all, inversions are super important in the CAE exam. If you can use these, you will just be able to get a better grade. They are advanced. I won't be linking to this video from FCE exam tips. Not that they can't learn it, but generally this is an advanced structure. So it starts by saying something negative at the beginning of the sentence, like never or not only. And that negative beginning lets us reorganize the sentence so that we can put the stress in a different place. And it's very useful. Students of British history will know that Winston Churchill made a famous speech after the Battle of Britain, and he said, "Never before in the history of human conflict has so much been owed by so many to so few." And that was a very important speech. It galvanized the country. The Americans were listening and they were like, "Ooh, yeah, Churchill." And it wouldn't have had the same impact if he had not used an inversion. All right, let's go back to that beginning thing, introduction. So not only can this app record the distance you run, but also count the calories you burn. So that's inverted because we start with not only, we start with this negative thing. The normal uninverted way would say this app can record the distance you run and count the calories you burn. The second one, rarely do I have time to go to the cinema nowadays. I rarely have time to go to the cinema nowadays. So all the same words are there. We're just going to reorganize them a little bit, and it's explained how to do that in a moment. Not since I was a child have I had such a great time. Certain adverbs or adverbial phrases with a negative or restrictive meaning can be put at the start of a sentence for emphasis or to be more formal or dramatic. Oh, next. Ooh, good effect. Huh? What's the formula? Sentences with auxiliary verbs. I will never lend money to Richard again. I can rarely find the time to read for pleasure. The position in an inversion, the position of the subject and the auxiliary verb is reversed. Never again will I lend money to Richard. And then the next one, so we've got the subject is I, can is the auxiliary verb, rarely find the time. So if rarely goes at the beginning, then we should change the order of the other two components. That should mean rarely can I find the time. Yes! What about sentence without auxiliary verbs? Well, that's even easier, isn't it? No. Richard never does his homework. I hardly ever see my auntie. Or, as we say in Manchester, I hardly ever see my auntie. Steve rarely turned up for class on time when he was at university. You have to insert do, does, did, depending on the tense and the subject. Right, so you're going to have to add in that auxiliary verb. Never, right, let's do the first one. Richard never does his homework. Never does Richard. Oh, what would the next word be? Well, I'm going to insert it from that list. Do. Never does Richard do his homework. Hardly ever do I see my auntie. Rarely did Steve turn up for class on time when he was at uni. Right? That's did because it's in the past. Good. Boom. Hey, let's do that again. That was fun. Boom. Right. What's going to happen now? Huh? Okay. All right, let's practice. Invert the following sentences using the word in brackets. I have never been to England using the word never. Starting with the word never. Never have I been to England. I can speak English and Spanish. Not only can I speak English, but also Spanish. Rarely do I send emails to my friends. I will only move out of my parents' house when I go to university. Only when I go to university will I move out of my parents' house. I don't go to the beach very often. Seldom do I go to the beach. See if that was all good. Never have I been to England. Sounds good. Not only can I speak English, but also Spanish, so my first answer was fine. Rarely do I send emails to my friends. Only when I go to university will I move out of my parents' house. That's what I said. And seldom do I go to the beach. So we've lost, in number 5, we've lost the words very often, but that's replaced by seldom. That's the same meaning. I hope you agree. Past time inversions gets its own section. There are 4 different inversions to explain the following. As soon as I sat down to eat dinner, the phone rang. I had just got into the shower when the lights went out. And we can use no sooner. No sooner, inverted past perfect, than. What does that mean? No sooner had I sat down to eat dinner than the phone rang. Did you get that? No sooner had I sat down than the phone rang. That construction might feel strange in the beginning, but if you try it 4 or 5 times, it will become more natural. No sooner had I started this video than I realized I hadn't really planned it. Hardly, barely, or scarcely. It also gives us this meaning of the event had just happened when the next event happened. So hardly had I got into the shower when the lights went out. Barely had I got into the shower when the lights went out. No sooner had I sat down to eat dinner than the phone rang, yes, and hardly had I got into the shower when the lights went out. Perfect, right, that's what I said. The only difficulty there is students sometimes mix than and when, and each construction has its own little word there. So no sooner than, hardly when. Good? Let's try to invert these sentences. Number 1, as soon as my head hit the pillow, I fell asleep. 2, I had just left the toilet when an elephant destroyed it. 3, as soon as I got off the plane, I ran to a pub and ate fish and chips. Now it's your turn. Pause the video and try. Okay, I can't wait. Number 1, as soon as my head hit the pillow, I fell asleep. No sooner had my head hit the pillow than I fell asleep. Yeah. I can do all of these. It's not about whether I can do it. All right, that's the answer to the first one. Have you got the answer to the second? Have you got it? Have you written it down? Have you written it down? Right, it should say that. It should say scarcely or barely or hardly or whatever with the word when, right? Not with the word then, with the when. No sooner than, scarcely when. Again. Good, right? Inversions with no. And there's a little sign from a shop there, which is funny if you have time for jokes, but you don't because your exam's on Thursday. Right, Shield recruit survival tip number 460. Under no circumstances should you ever utter the phrase, what's the worst that could happen? And little joke there. So under no circumstances, the no is our negative beginning. Under no circumstances should you ever utter the phrase, what's the worst that could happen? Basically, if you are in a movie and you say, hey, let's split up, right? And all the people go to different rooms of the scary house, that's when they all die, isn't it? So you never split up and you never say, what's the worst that could happen? Because that's when all the bad things happen. These two inversions are used to talk about prohibitions. On no account, under no circumstances, should or must. On no account should you try to feed me apricots. I hate apricots. Do not give me apricots. Under no circumstances should you advertise your holiday on Facebook because criminals know that you are out of the house and they steal all your things. On no account must you speak to the other candidates, for example, in an exam. Under no circumstances should this door be opened while the train is moving. Ooh, passive. Under no circumstances should you open this door. Active, right? It's flexible. You can do what you want. Make these prohibitions stronger. Don't put metal in the microwave. Not sure that I would say stronger, but more formal. Metal, oh no, I have to start with on no account. On no account must metal be put in the microwave. Kids mustn't play with the guns and bombs. Don't try to fight the lions. I think it's going to give the answers now in a second. So again, if you want to pause the video and write your own answers, ready, go. Do it, do it, do it. Okay. On no account should you or must you put metal in the microwave. Under no circumstances must kids play. On no account must you try to fight the lions. On no account should you try to fight. Yeah, must, should, whatever. Okay. Boom. Little. He had no idea that the police were following him. Little, right? We're going to start the sentence with the word little. Little did he know that the police were following him. Little did he know is a phrase which is quite commonly used. I bought this new product, but little did I know it was full of Chinese spiders. So, little did he, you, she know or realize. So, little did he realize means he had no idea. Little did he know that the bananas were full of Chinese spiders. I had no idea how much danger I was in. They had no idea that their conversation was being recorded. John didn't know that the Gucci handbag was a fake. Practice. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. You should have something like, little did I know how much danger I was in. Little did they know. Little did he realize. Little did he know. Either one. Here's a summary of what we've covered in this tiny video. So not only can you lose weight, but also have loads of fun. How could you say something like that in your exam? Or I mean, not only but also, it's just so common. You can use it about anything. If you are comparing the two things in one of in speaking test part 2, you can say not only are both people indoors, but also with their children, right? For comparing in the speaking test. In the writing, you have to decide where the money should go. Not only does our village need a new swimming pool, but also a new museum, right? Any time where you have two things, you can use that phrase. Never again will you have to go to bed early. Never again will you have to miss your flight. If you are writing something for the exam, what could you do? Let's take this village that has some money and has to decide how to use it. If we were to invest money in rebuilding the museum, never again would we have to worry about tourism. Yeah, it works. No sooner had I switched the machine on than I felt the weight falling off. If you are doing a report for CAE or a proposal, it might be in response to something bad that happened. For example, the previous computers that we bought don't work properly, so now we have to buy a new set, or the library is old. Okay, let's take the example of a school library and we have to work out what we should do with it. No sooner does a student enter the room than he is faced with an appalling smell. No sooner does a tourist enter the museum than he feels disappointed. Yeah, it's quite good. Under no circumstances should you use the device in the bath. Under no circumstances must we waste this precious money that we have been given. Under no circumstances. Yeah, I can imagine a couple of times in the speaking test where you could say that. You could say things like, under no circumstances should we confuse the politics of a country with the kindness of its people. Under no circumstances should you judge a book by its cover. Okay, and finally, never before. Never before have we had such a great opportunity to transform our village. Never before have we been given such a generous donation. Okay, so to finish, if you have problems with this kind of grammar, or you just feel worried about your exam in general, why not go to italki? That's a platform where you can find teachers and do Skype lessons with them. If I were you, I wouldn't hesitate to do it. It's not expensive. It's between like $5 on the low end to $15, or I guess some of them are more, but most of them seem to be like that. So for $10 an hour, you're going to get a highly experienced teacher who knows all of this stuff and can work with you one-on-one and check that you understand it. This is the article I wrote about it. So I wrote all kinds of stuff, and I talked to David and I talked to Sophie. Go and watch the videos and see what you think. Click on the link below. Yeah, this one. Click that and you get 2 lessons for the price of 1. So for $10, you'll get 2 hours. And in the post, I explain how to find one who teaches advanced. So yeah, go and get the lesson, practice, and good luck with your exam.